electronic health records industry, this is a key concept that really needs to be taken seriously, especially when patient lives are at risk. Now, with that being said, I'd like to introduce myself, Andrew, my colleagues, Josh and Stephen, and I'd like to thank Tony for being here with us today and letting me present on how you can really take advantage of this opportunity and really thrive in the electronic health records industry. So what is that opportunity? Now, how can you optimize a software solution that integrates both electronic health records and the localized EMRs into Canadian medical practices? Now, with that being said, we had three key underlying issues that we really wanted to address. And first off, that's the physician perceptions. Now, this is really driven by a knowledge disconnect. They are used to their own manual processes, and especially when patient data is so sensitive, they're really hesitant to get on board with the IT training that is in the industry right now. Also, IT security, which really thrives off that there. The patient and doctor relationship. Now, this is another idea, key concept, that really the patient and the doctor experience needs to make sure that IT supplements it and doesn't hinder it, and it really makes it that experience really good, because this is what the doctors want. They want to make sure that they're giving the best service possible. And last off, the data standardization. Now, a lot of the professionals in the industry are really pushing towards this, and they really want to make sure that their patients have the best possible experience. And this can only be done with data standardization. And as the demographics of Canada really show, standardization of data is very hard to get, especially when you have so many small practitioners that do things on their own, and especially in IT, they do it on their own. So data standardization is something we will also address in this presentation. And with that being said, I'd like to hand it off to Josh, and he's going to talk about the industry and the customer.
So jumping right into some industry analysis, we have to see a demographic shift. These baby boomers that are retiring and going on the way of the course and into retirement are experiencing some significant health decline, and thus allowing the population to rise, or target population to rise for people that need to be treated by medical doctors. Now, this ties into the record evolution as there's a digital shift from paper and everything's going towards the digital side. Now, this also brings about the EMR vendor consolidation as the industry is growing and evolving. Now, on the doctor side of things, there's many small players. These doctors are private practitioners, and they are IT autonomous, which means they make all of their own decisions, and they have the ability to decide what they want to do and who they want to do it with. Now, taking a look at the customer, there's a two-pronged approach to the customer in this scenario. There are the physicians and the patients. Both have different needs, wants, and everything as such. Now, on the physician side of things, they require efficiency and clarity. They need streamlined information that's going to get them the fastest result, and which will allow them to have a hands-off approach in making a decision as rapidly as possible with the correct amount of effectiveness. That leads into reliability. The reliability is absolutely key in this scenario, as lives are at risk. If a doctor makes a wrong call, given that he didn't have proper information or pairs different drugs together, that can lead to tremendous issues, which again ties into that patient focus. And patient focus means that doctors have to rely on their ability to diagnose in order to get the right call and have that patient focus. Now, the patients have expectations. With this growing Medicare system that we've got in Canada today, the expectations are growing in terms of how fast you need to be seen, how fast the doctor can make a diagnosis, how fast the results are given, and with what reliability they're given with. The patient's life is on the line, so they have a very centric focus with this. They're going to be very selfish in a way. Again, they're also concerned with security and privacy. There's very personal information that's going out. They are sharing very personal information with the doctor, and they want to ensure that the doctor and physicians and staff, along with the IT solutions provided to them, have the security and privacy to ensure that what they say is held with regard, and the doctor can be honest in saying that no one else is going to find this information but them. Andrew's going to take us through the organizational analysis.
So now looking at the organization here, we're taking a different approach because you are looking at this, whether to enter the market or not. And we want to look at what are your current resources. And really your main resources are your previous experience and the people that you know. And your previous team here would almost be perfectly suited for this industry. One, Tony is your leader guy. He's the one who brings everyone together, and he will be the one that will lead your IT initiatives. Now, Linnea, she's a familiar person in this industry. She's from Norway, and she's already dealt in this industry. And she's had experience doing successful implementations. Now, that's a really key, important issue. Roger is the conceptualization guy. He does the IT architecture, and it's really important that you have someone like this on your board with what you're doing. Is in IT consulting, this is really important. So looking at the what will really drive this new growth here. So first off, your competencies, as I explained, those really drive your implementation service experience. Now, you do have previous experience working with small businesses, and I must emphasize small businesses. You did do large business, but it didn't work out as well as you'd hoped. But small business is really where you've done it, and you've done it through an awesome implementation service experience. And this has really driven your client service and your client list. So this is an asset to go through organization that you could be possibly able, and everybody else within it. And this has really finally driven a small firm's success. So with that being said, I'd like to hand it off to Steve, and he's going to take you through the decision process.
So to make our recommendation today, we wanted to look at some critical success factors. So these are based on our decision criteria. And the very first one is it needs to align with your team's competencies. As Andrew alluded to, we do have some roles we think that your team would be able to play, which really is going to be able to give value to what you can do to the medical industry and the electronic records. So we need to serve that customer demand, and that's really based on servicing the physicians who serve the customer. So we need to make sure the physicians are happy with what service we're providing, and that it's actually going to make their lives easier and less stress-free, or more stress-free, sorry. And then thirdly, the environmental impact. So whatever we recommend, we really want to look at the environment. Electronic medical records, not only is there a loss of efficiency there, but there's also a huge paper usage there. So if we can move more to the electronic side of things, we can definitely help the environment in that way. And then fourth, low time to market. So as Josh alluded to, this industry is growing, and there's definitely going to be other players in the market that are going to pick up on that. As we really feel like the electronic records industry in the medical, with a medical focus, is really going to be the future of today. So as we go through the decision process, the very first thing we looked at was an in-house strategy. So this would be just providing consulting based on the IT clients that are out there right now. So the advantage to this is it's pretty inexpensive, and it would be easy to take the market in a pretty quick fashion. But it really doesn't utilize the full abilities of your team, as well as it really doesn't allow the doctors to focus on the practice. So the doctors really want to focus on, helping save those lives instead of working on the IT or the medical records. We really want to put a focus on letting them do their job and letting us focus on the IT side of things. So it really just doesn't really focus on the core competencies. So we really felt like we had to move in another direction. So we looked at an in and later strategy. So this would be doing initial consulting at the beginning, as well as having a lot of emphasis on post-evaluation. So this would be kind of closing that loop in the project, as well, and giving just a more of a customer focus. But it still kind of leaves some competencies to really be utilized, and there's just that gap in the implementation process, which could be considered a disadvantage. So we moved on from that, and that really brings us into the strategic recommendation that we are presenting today. So this is an in and out strategy. So we really want to go full cycle. So it's going to be a full integrated solution that will focus on change management and project management. And really the reason why we think this integrated process, and really getting into why the electronic records is really going to continue to foster, is if you look at all the provinces from 2010 to 2013, every province is in a positive fashion in terms of moving from paper to electronic. So with this in and out strategy, we'll give that full cycle, so we'll be with them the entire way, as well as this is going to give them streamlined information, so we'll be looking if they should go in-house or out-of-house, and then really making the doctors make informed decisions, because ultimately, going back to that bottom line, we need these doctors to make the most responsible and most informative decisions possible to make sure that the people that they're serving are properly served. With that, I'm going to move up, let Andrew take over, and he's really going to talk about how we're going to penetrate that market and really work on the branding of the potential company.
Okay, so EHG Consulting, Electronic Health Guidance Consulting. Now this is what you are going to be calling your firm. And this will really be led by you and your other colleagues, Roger and Alina. Now, the main selling feature of this is one-year implementation. You're dealing with a client that really wants hands-off, and they really want to do this in a quick and painless manner. Now, if you can really guarantee those one-year implementations, which we think you can, it will really be a great selling feature, and it will really be great for your referral client list. We suggest that you tap roots in Alberta. Now, you did mention that Alfred could be your potential first customer, and this will not only be a great trial run, but this will be a great way, if you can successfully implement, to get those and gain those referrals. And from Alberta, Alberta also has the highest adoption rate going into data, and they also abide by the electronic health records system, standardized system. And they're also central to that system, where when you have BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario all running on that, this really lets you tap roots and you have the opportunity to expand. And last but not least, the client service focus. This is going to be the main driver of growth for your company. And this will be very important to do in every stage of implementation. Now, Josh and I, we are going to go through how exactly are you going to make processes that will work for your clients. And for myself, I will go through the IT side of things, and Josh will be looking at the people or the change management. And so you really have to work with these physicians and really make sure that they're on track for success. Josh?
Okay, so jumping right into the short term, which is a 0 to 3 months time limit. So we're looking at awareness and change management, which is the ADCAR model, as Andrew alluded to. Now, in this scenario, what we're going to do is have initial meetings with the doctors. What you need to do is have those initial meetings with the physicians and staff to ensure that they know exactly what changes are going to be brought about and exactly how these medical records are going to be serviced digitally and how that's going to happen with a full implementation disclosure. This 12-month feature is really a giant selling feature, which means that disclosure is going to allow them to know exactly when everything's going to happen, why it's happening, and at what point it's going to happen. Again, what you'll need to do is establish a physician and staff feedback loop. So any suggestions or advice or anything that the physicians and staff see with the system that could be beneficial or could help them on a day-to-day routine, they'd like to see that implemented. Obviously, they're going to have a lot more buy-in to the system if their opinions are taken very seriously, which would that feedback loop will do. Now, building on that, what we need to do is focus on desire. So what you need to do is really focus on the patient benefits, exactly how the patients are going to benefit from this new system and how their service from you is going to be, or from the physicians rather, is going to be exemplified and intensified by these electronic records. Now, you'll have to really focus on that adoption incentives. There's $5,040 per year that these doctors can get just by filing these electronic records. And that's going to be a large selling feature as everybody enjoys having a little more profit. But beyond profits, what we're looking to do is have an informed decision-making ability for the doctors. So they're really focusing on that real bottom line, which is saving lives. The profit is an incentive, but having doctors and physicians able to save lives in a more efficient manner is really what we're looking to do here, and that's how you're going to build desire with your clients. Andrew?
All right, so in project management, which I alluded to is the IT side of things, first off, you want to do initiation. So before planning, you really want to look at the situation that you're in. We suggest that you will be doing a current state assessment. And this is looking at your IT architecture. Now, Roger, he's going to be the one heading this. And he's going to be an important part of making sure that whatever they're doing locally can be standardized in a way that fits with the rest of the standardized data within Canada. Also, you want to look for project transparency. You really want to make sure that communication lines between your company and the physicians are transparent and that communication isn't broken down. Now, they will be very busy during the day, and we suggest one possible way to overcome this is working after hours with them. In the planning side of things, we want to do a desired state assessment. We want to see where we want to be at the end of this project. So we really want to do our measures there, find out what is wrong with the company, and then make your measurement from there and find out how we want to improve there. You also decide whether you want to do local or ASP. And this will be important to understand because you will have to do that first, that architecture to really understand what they need. And you'll develop your migration plan, which I mentioned, the after-hours focus, as you are probably going to be only dealing with 1, 2, at most maybe 10 employees at the same time. This is an after-hours focus will definitely be within reasonable grounds that your company can achieve. And going on to the medium term.
Okay, so the medium term, which is the 4 to 11 month period, what we're looking to do is have you instill knowledge within the client and the physician. So that means a 1-day training session, which will take 1 day out of the client's time, as their time is valuable, but this is absolutely necessary so that the physician knows exactly why everything is happening and how it's really going to affect him, her, and his staff. Now, the focus on why is a really big key in this, as you'll need to really instill that the electronic records are going to improve the patient's life as well as the physician and staff lives. Now, in terms of the staff, we'll have 1 week of in-house training. So that means that one of you, possibly you, Roger, will go through and go within the firm and really teach the staff how everything works and why it works and what to do. Now, in terms of ability, there will be staff spot evaluations. So after that week, you'll drop in, say in the next month or so, and see how the staff are responding to the electronic records, how everything's being filed, and making sure that everything is accountable and there as it should be. Now, that being said, there's going to be an open line for support, and you'll need to keep an open line over for future training, just in case there are staff or physicians that feel they don't know the system as well as they should.
All right, so in the execution phase, you will want to do a parallel implementation. Now, this is suggesting that you have both your legacy system in effect with the new system. This will be important to mitigate any results of complications that they can easily revert to the old system. Also, when you do the system cutover, you want to make sure that the patients are aware of this too. Now, you will want to do it in a manner that shows it in a positive light, saying we are making changes within the organization. And we feel that it's very important that you tell your physicians to really communicate this to your patients. Now, alongside with the execution, we do have the monitoring. And with this, we suggest doing agile monitoring. Now, this is really focused on evaluation. As it is a small business, it's really easy to go forward and back in your steps. So you can really make informed decisions. Now, I'll let Josh finish it up with this and the timeline.
Okay, so looking at that last month, the closing and reinforcement phases. So with reinforcement, we're looking for that feedback evaluation, making sure that everybody had an opinion, has a chance to have it said. We want to have the accountability measures in place to make sure the staff and physicians are filing these electronic reports correctly, and do a benefits analysis, ensuring that the informed decisions are being made and the correct decisions are made on an increased fashion. Now, in terms of closing the project, we have a post-evaluation which is going to be based on the desired state assessment, which will be established when you're doing the first meeting, initial meeting with the physician in the planning phases. Now, the IoT independence is going to be the post-training program, which is, again, keeping that open line of communication open, and outsourcing maintenance on a yearly basis to ensure that electronic filing is kept up to date. Now, what you'll see here is a detailed implementation plan and a visualization for that, and what you do is refer that on the slides that we're given to you. And Steve's going to walk through financials.
So quickly, we just looked at some costs. So just the startup costs, these are really rough. And the biggest thing to really look at is we want to focus on the referral base. So we do want to get into a firm right away, focus on that, and then move on from there, because there would only be 3 employees in the company with the startup. So really with that, the biggest thing to look at is the personal time cost of you 3 running the company. With that, I'm going to let Josh finish up the presentation, looking at the risks, mitigations, and the conclusion.
So what we've done is established a series of risks that will be outlined with the alternatives selected, and you'll find that in the slides provided to you. Now, the real issue behind the opportunity was how to operate a software solution in order to integrate the electronic data solutions. Now, with this integrated solutions, we'll establish informed decision-making with the doctor and decrease stress, which will increase reliability and really focus on that bottom line. Thank you very much. We'd like to open the floor for any questions you may have.
you guys see as your biggest barriers to entry in the market, and what's your competition like?
Right now, one of the biggest barriers is startup costs, and the great thing about what we did out of finding your resources is that you do have great resources. You have the experience already that you need with small clients. You have experience of building that client list. The biggest thing is gaining those clients, those initial clients, and this is where your friend Alfred really comes into play. He'll be the first market penetration person, and your first implementation is very vital to the success of your company. And it's important that once you do have a successful implementation, you use that to get referral process going and really gain that client list.
The current systems cater to family physicians. And so how do you see that we can address the specialists and other people like that?
Okay, so the family physicians are obviously what we're going to be looking at first. And so to address a specialist, it'll be a very similar situation. Now, specialists sometimes are privatized, so it'll be a little bit more difficult to gain entry into that market. So what we're really going to have to do is have your company build up a client base and really exploit that client base in order to do referrals into that privatized market. Because once you've established the fact that you do very, very good work and implement very, very good systems that do increase efficiency and decision-making abilities, that other people in other specialized areas are going to see that and want the same product.
You've mentioned that you're starting a geographical segment with focus on Alberta. Given that they already have the highest penetration rate for associates with using electronic systems, how is that going to impact our business development approach and our ability to access new clients easily and readily?
Now, that is a very good question, actually. But the main point here is that you already have a client, Alfred, who's in the market already, and he doesn't even know the solution. So there is a high adoption. There's still room for growth in the market. And what really sets your company apart is that you go through the process fully with them in 1 year, and you get them set up for the future. Now, this will differentiate from your competitors. Differentiation is very important for growth through your strategy. But also, this is a taproot. So you are a mobile company. You can move to British Columbia. You can go to Saskatchewan and Manitoba. You aren't really bound by Alberta. Your company is very mobile. So this is really vital to the growth of your company.
In terms of attracting all these new customers, and you guys have a strong focus on really customizing and working with these physicians, do you anticipate any capacity issues in the future, or how is your company doing growth?
So first of all, we just want to start with Alfred and then really get that first main referral and really make sure that it goes as planned. So this will be really the first time we're going to be working with either the in-house or the out-of-house IT suppliers that will be supplying the hardware and the software. But from there, we would definitely have to look at possibly employing more employees with that. And one thing we did address, or in the financials, we addressed some legal fees. So what we do is we really do want to set up that corporation and really allow you in the future to hire more employees that you could really train and then really evolve to having separate teams. So it's not just you three, but growing the company from there.
In your planning phase, you talk about the selection of the technology. What would be some of the major criteria that you'd select one or the other, or recommend one or the other?
It would really depend on the size of the company. So if we're looking at, if there's only like 1 to 3 physicians in the office, we'd definitely be looking at more of an outside source. But if you're looking at a company that had maybe 5 to 10 physicians, we definitely look at the in-house options as they are slightly a little bit cheaper. And with the outsourcing of the IT, there definitely becomes that security risk that we would need to